My story today comes out of Law 360, and it comes out of Nebraska, and it involves discussions we've had and pissing matches we've had over some of these analogs of THC, the Delta 8, the Delta 10, the double aught, the acetate, all these other things. And Nebraska is a no cannabis state, no medical, no recreational, but they do allow hemp. And as we all know, the hemp bill just stated it's 0.3% THC or under to make it hemp. Okay? And we've had all these discussions about what do you do with these manufactured THC products. And what the state of Nebraska did was they sued, I think there's 21 altogether. There's a lot of them that got sued for violating public protection and food safety laws. Okay? And the story seems to have gone like this, that if you're putting synthetic THC into any product, that's an adulterant, that violates our food safety laws and consumer protection laws. So the state of Nebraska sued a bunch of these companies. I think it's 21. Go back and look at the number. It really is important. But what we're seeing here is if the front door is shut, you go in the side window. Okay? It was difficult to go after these companies straight up for THC that comes from a hemp plant if it's under 0.3%. But for all the other cannabinoids, and this is how they address this. When they settled these cases, they told these companies, all right, we're going to settle this. You're going to pay us to destroy all these products. And we're not going to charge, everyone pays their own attorney's fees. But if you come back and do this again, we're going to spank you. Happens the second time, we're going to double the spanking. And if it goes on beyond that, you're going to have to disgorge all your revenues from the time the complaint was filed against you. And the way that they did this is that they used the term prohibited hemp products, and this means a product that contains synthetic cannabinoids, which is capable of being consumed, okay? That means anything that can go into your body, get into your system at all, it's going to be covered by this. And if it contains synthetic cannabinoids, they are prohibited. That includes hemp flower that's adulterated with synthetic cannabinoids. Synthetic cannabinoids are defined as any cannabinoids produced, transformed, manufactured, or modified by means of chemical synthesis or other chemical manipulation, including Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, or that are created by isomerization, chemical term. And then THC means tetrahydrocannabinol, as well as any variants, equivalents, and analogs. Okay, this is the kitchen sink definition. Oh, if you have less than 0.3% of THC, it's a hemp product. But if it contains any of these other synthetic hemp products, these synthetic tetrahydrocannabinols, it is prohibited. Okay? Now, Delta 8 does occur naturally in very small quantities, but the companies I've represented that are doing this, they're doing this in large scale. They buy these commercial synthesization pots. It can be pressurized, the temperature can be regulated, and then you can add chemicals to it under pressure and at certain temperatures to remove from one bonding site the THC part of the molecule and stick it on another. Okay, and CBD is, you can synthesize these tetrahydrocannabinols out of CBD. Okay? And this is going on. This is how the pharmaceutical world works. All the opioids work this way. They take like codeine and subject it to this stuff, and you come out with hydrocodone or oxycodone. The same thing with morphine, with hydromorphone, things like that. So this synthesis process is out there. It's commercially available. And what we've seen is that these products show up with less than 0.3% Delta 9 THC, which grows in the hemp. And then they start throwing Delta 8, Delta 10 in there. These are intoxicating tetrahydrocannabinols. And so what they've done is they've been very inclusive in the language here. These are part of the settlements. But if you do any of this stuff that includes any of these synthetic tetrahydrocannabinols, it's a prohibited product, and you're going to get spanked pretty good. Now, this may give an example to other states out there looking to rein in some of these intoxicating THC molecules. And I hope that we can find a way to do this, because these synthetic THCs are, I just don't trust them. I don't think they're good to have out there in the marketplace. THC has a long history from the plant. You know its safety. These other synthetic molecules, we don't. So Nebraska, I hate to toot the horn for them at all, because they have no cannabis laws, whether it's medical or recreational. But they seem to have found a way to rein in this gas station synthetic THC market that's out there. So I'm going to throw this back at you and see what you guys think about it.
Dale, they didn't do any mention of THCA in this. This is just the synthetic cannabinoids, correct?
They did not.
Just wanted to make sure, clarifying that.
They use the inclusive language of all analogs and things like that. So if you go talk to a chemist, a biochemist especially, they will give you enough inclusive language. And I'm hoping that this would cover the nonsensical argument that THCA is somehow not to be covered by this, because as soon as you heat it up, it turns into THC, which is, it's just a ridiculous argument. But hopefully they've got enough language in here to cover it.
I guess the question is, does analog cover a precursor, right? Because THCA is really more of a precursor. I'm not a chemist, so I have no idea about what the official definition of an analog is from a biochemical standpoint.
Well, you're right, and if I was going to try that case, I'd bring in a biochemist, especially a pharmaceutical biochemist, to talk about all of these synthesis mechanisms and what this actually does, what the liver does. Because if you eat THCA, you consume it orally, you do not get the hydroxy-11 effect that you get from smoking THC. Okay, so you get completely different effects, and I don't know. It'd be an interesting question if I was to try the case, but I think that for the purpose of preserving the industry that we want, that has plant-produced, not biosynthesized stuff, and I think this is a good move to try and rein this in.
I partially agree with that, Dale. I think, Nebraska is notoriously a prohibitionist state, so I'm not going to say that I'm surprised by the way that they approach this, but look at the demand for those THC analogs and synthetics in states where they actually have a functioning adult use program, like Colorado and California. I would imagine it's not that high. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't have any data to back that up, but I've never heard of rampant CBD demand or Delta 8 demand in Denver, So
You're right.
I think the real approach here, which, Nebraska only did half of it, is to actually create a functioning regulated market so that there is safe access points for people that want to consume THC or other forms of cannabis, and not just eradicate one access option and then push everything back into the illicit market, especially when they're in a state that's surrounded by legal states, right? Minnesota is not too far north. Illinois is around there. Missouri is around there. Colorado borders Nebraska. So they're not really solving the problem in Nebraska. They're, in my opinion.
No, I think they're exacerbating it. It's an access issue. So, you're right. Do you remember when both of us were still in Colorado at the time, when Nebraska put up those signs that said it's legal in Colorado, like right at the border, and we're just there?
And they used to profile all the drivers coming in.
Well, no, they didn't even profile that. They profiled the vehicles, because anyone that had Colorado plates, they're pulling you over.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, your choices were Nebraska or Kansas, and I promise you, your bottom puckered with either way you took. So I think that it's an access issue, and I think I would still like to see these things kind of pulled. I don't think that you should buy any medical devices or anything you're going to put in your body other than like food and beverage from a gas station, right? So like those little contacts y'all be wearing, don't buy those. Those are unsafe as well. But I think that you have to give people
Are you saying
a safe
Spanish fly should not be bought at the gas station?
Huh?
The only medicine you should
Spanish fly should be prescribed by my doctor who knows nothing
Oh,
about
boy.
lies or Spanish.
Get your
Listen,
Viagra
I guess
from the arc.
I was gonna say the only medicine
for
you
like
should buy
honey
is
packs and blue
sexual
chews, but
performance.
like I think just generally there are a lot of things like you need to provide safe access to good quality medicinal cannabis for people and give them the option to once again take their care into their own hands. And I think until you do, you're going to push money into the hands of people who are going to sell you something that's not so great.